Warning, the following video has flashing lights and also includes content that may be deemed inappropriate for some viewers. Viewer discretion is advised. Keith Evans and Brian Barber both have found their way into the darkness of the fox den. Yet, yes, Keith Evans is a vampire hunter as well as a monster hunter. And unfortunately for me, I will be having to get a few new werewolf and dogman bodyguards that Keith disposed of. And yes, even though you do hunt vampires, assumptions aren't good. But I assume you are here with Mr. Barber to ask for my help in tracking werewolves. Absolutely delicious. And now that I am fully revamped, recharged, and the shackles have been released, it is time for LordeStarfox and Mr. Barber to help Keith Evans track down cryptids, vampires, and monsters.
Stood up. I said, oh my God, it's a werewolf. And everybody in the car freaked out.
My creatures of the night. Yes, once again, you are tuning in to Midnight Lycanthropy on LordeStarfox Radio. Keith Evans, a friend of Drewski and Jessica Jones, has already found his way into the darkness of the fox den and is sitting around the late night fire as we again burn the timber into the early hours of the morning. You are officially tuned in to the Midnight Society stomping ground. Keith, how are you doing tonight, my friend?
I'm doing good. How about you?
Excellent. Thanks for linking up. Glad you're here.
Yes, thanks for having me on.
Excellent. Could you tell the audience who you are, my friend? Also, what you work on and what you've been up to?
Well, my name is Keith Evans. I am a paranormal researcher. I've been doing paranormal research in some primitive way since I was about 4 years old. And I have two books. I published my first book in 2018 called The Hayes House Ghost or People 2. And that was a book I wrote about my paranormal research that I conducted at the Hayes House in Apalachicola during, I guess, about October of 2016 up until about August of 2018. I might have done some a little bit earlier than that. But anyway, it was all firsthand knowledge of my experiences at the Hayes House. And my second book I published in 2024, and that was a collection of all my thoughts and feelings that I've had about vampires since I saw the vampire program back in the 60s called Dark Shadows. And that was like a British sitcom that came on in the afternoon. And that kind of sparked my interest in vampires. The main vampire was Barnabas Collins. There might have been some secondary characters along the way. It was like a 4 or 5 year long program. But anyway, he was kind of like my hero, and I was always trying to figure out how do vampires do what they do. And I had taken physics and genetics and different chemistry courses, and while getting my degree in chemistry, and that helped me kind of formulate how you know I even took what astrophysics and all that. So that kind of formulated how I look at a vampire and how they can do what they do. And I thought that would make an interesting book because no one else has ever wrote about that. So I thought, okay, well, I'll take my time and try to read some books. And every book I read was just a story about a vampire. The vampire might change from a person in a suit to a person that's just wearing casual clothes, and they might, be a male or a woman, or they just keep changing certain things about a vampire. But my book isn't really about one vampire. It's just about all vampires, and it covers the characteristics, historical characteristics of that vampires have as far as their abilities, and it looks at are they more like a human person who's alive or a person? I cover that in every chapter, and every chapter is about one characteristic, say about a vampire being able to dematerialize. And then at the end, I explain how I feel scientifically the vampire is able to dematerialize. And all this is just my opinion, and I can't prove or disprove any of it. So I think it makes for interesting reading, especially if you're into science. If you're not into science, you might not like it. But if you're into science and science fiction is only science fiction until we can actually do it. So just keep that in mind. It was published, I guess it was October of 2024. So it's relatively new. And it is available both in paperback and also ebook on Kindle. Paperback is on Amazon, but Amazon can actually lease it to other companies. So if you have a favorite company other than Amazon, try that first and see if it's there. Now, the Hayes House goes for people too. I took it out of print. I had went through a novelty type company, and they were charging me an arm and a leg, and it wasn't worth it. So I took it out of print, and I might actually print it through Kindle Direct. That's the company that I'm dealing with right now. Kindle Direct is just Kindle Direct Publishing is free, and then they sell your book, and you get paid royalties. And I had a friend, Rob Shelsky. He's big on paranormal research and also everything that's unknown, cryptids and also UFOs and stuff like that. He was the one that helped me with it as far as getting it published on Kindle Direct Publishing. And it took me about 3 weeks because I'm not good with high tech at all. I'm not good with computers at all. And he's very good. He can get a book published on Kindle Direct in about 2 hours. So, but my daughter used a computer before I'd ever touched one. So that's how much of a dinosaur I am. And my daughter was able to use computers in school, in elementary school. So anyway, so just to let you know that I'm very up on the paranormal, especially when it comes to ghosts and spirits, and I would say vampires too. That's probably the only cryptid that I'm really well versed on. The other cryptids, it's just very hard to have enough time in life to be well versed on everything. But if you read my book, I think it would blow your mind because other people have told me that when they read Vampires Dead or Alive, that they weren't expecting what they got. And they said that when they read the research that I did, like on genetics, it caused them to want to go and do a search just to see what they could find out about it. And they just said that they just loved it. And it's a very scientific book, and it makes people think. If you're the type of person that's set in your ways and don't want to think outside the box, the book's not for you. But if you like to think outside the box, I think you'll love the book. And there's no fluff in it. I've read books about famous people that I want to know more about, and you'd read a chapter, it's 20 pages long, and it's a whole lot of fluff until you get to the last sentence. And then the last sentence tells you what you wanted to know. You wanted to know whether he had a second child and what year they were born. And you found that out in the very last paragraph. So there's no fluff in my book. It's rather short. It's not like the Hayes House Ghost or People 2, where you have 340 pages. Most people don't want to tackle a book like that because they want to be able to finish a book in a couple of months. So this book is short. It's probably a little less than 50 pages, but it's all information that's brand new. It's no fluff. It's no fancy talk or playing with words. It just goes right to the meat and the potatoes about a vampire, meaning whether they're alive, at least my opinion on that, and also the characteristic, how they can do what they do. For instance, like some people, vampires cannot have a reflection in the mirror. Well, how can they do that? And, just to cover a few points really quickly, the only way you would not have a reflection in the mirror would be if you're not in our dimension, or if you are in our dimension, but you are able to telepathically send the audio and the visual directly into that person that you're communicating with, directly into that person's brain. Then you won't have a mirror image. The only other way not to have a mirror image is to bend light around yourself. And that's a possibility with vampires. Vampires will actually denature. And my theory is that they're extraterrestrial. They're from a planet where that planet had a very dim star within their Goldilocks zone for life to form. And that star was probably a blue dwarf. And the planet probably had about as intense sunlight during the day as we have on a moonlight night. But the ones that are brand new are probably just have to avoid daylight, even indirect daylight. Another reason why light may bend around a vampire. If you can get direct sunlight to bend around you, for instance, like have some type of force field or some type of defense mechanism that does not allow direct sunlight to touch your vampire body, then you could survive outside during the daylight, or you could survive a accidental opening of your coffin and having direct sunlight come in, say flashing off of a mirror or something. So you could survive that. So maybe the reason why we can't see a vampire is because of this protection bubble that they have. I don't think I wrote about it that much in this book. But anyway, it's another way of explaining it to you as far as getting light to bend around them. So that's the reason why you may not be able to see them in a mirror. And there's a chapter on that. And that's things that most people don't think of. But if you've had physics, you've had quantum mechanics, you have a chance to look at all the things when you were in middle school and you thought, how does a vampire do that? And after years of taking courses, and you say, all right, this is the best theory I have for how a vampire can do what they do. So check out the book. I think you'll love it. If you're listening to this radio program or podcast, that shows you have some interest in it anyway. So I think you'll love the book.
Make sure to text me the links where people can check out your books and purchase that if they would like. Also, if you do have any other links you would like up in the description of the video. Yeah, excellent stuff right there, my friend.
People have told me how to get direct links to my book. The only thing I was able to get was, Amazon.com and Kindle.com. And then they have to do a search for my book. So the only other thing I have a link to would be uh, my YouTube channel, and of course I'm on Facebook and Instagram.
Send all those over, my friend. We will get those up in the description for the audience to click on that and travel over to see what you are up to. My late mother, growing up, rest in peace, Mom, she was always into creature features, which is the only type of horror I really enjoy is the creature features. And I've always been obviously a big fan of vampires. She was more into witches. Obviously, werewolves are cool too. Yet, I would have to say personally, my favorite vampires, geez, would definitely be Bill Compton and Eric Northman from True Blood. I also, even though the movie itself wasn't necessarily the greatest and truth to the book, but Queen of the Damned with Stuart Townshend as Lestat, he was super awesome. Same thing with Twilight, not a big fan overall, but I think Robert Pattinson did a cool job as Edward Cullen. And now to be even more nerdy, there is a show growing up. I watched a Japanese anime called Hellsing, which has a character named Alucard. It's really well drawn, super nightmare fuel. If you've never seen it, I know you are busy, just like myself. Yeah, I do highly suggest you check that out.
Well, Twilight is the only movie that I've seen out of the ones you've mentioned. And then the creature features, it seemed like that might have been a prime time program on for maybe a year or two back in the 80s. True?
That is a acute observation by you, my friend. There is that's a term we use now, but that was an actual television program, and there is a YouTube channel where they play all these old school and new horror
Okay.
movies. Pretty cool stuff. So great
It's probably been
observation.
syndicated then.
Boom. You got to check out 30 Days a Night too. That's probably the most vicious vampire movie I've ever seen that takes place in Alaska when, yes, for 30 days there's night. Certain people decide to stay in this small village, and these vampires, there's no nice or kindness. They don't want to befriend people. They legit just absolutely shred people's throats. That's another one to good check out. I'm not too much into, like I said, horror and gore. I do think werewolves, vampires, and sci-fi, the Predator, those things are cool. But I spend almost all of my time, how you spend all your time on the projects that you do. Same thing here, trying to figure out why people are missing and these strange canine sightings. I legit have no time outside of that besides editing, speaking to great hosts and guests such as yourself, and then a little bit in my free time if I'm editing images where I can still listen and side watch, I will put on True Blood because I'm trying to finish that up. I'm on season 5 of 7. Yet the majority of the time, I always want to learn. So I find myself super interested on my free time, just learning stuff, whether it's National Geographics, whether it's history, doesn't matter. I just indulge myself always in something educational based. I totally understand you.
I think people weigh too much heaviness on being afraid of the paranormal. If you're afraid of anything, you can only hate it or dislike it. But if you're not afraid of it, you can learn about it. And there's so much more that we need to learn about the paranormal, all aspects of paranormal, not just vampires. But I fear not any vampire because I feel that my ability to communicate with God is strong enough to overpower any vampire. I'm not really concerned about that. If you have really true faith in God, I think that a vampire is just another predator like a poisonous snake or anything else that could be out there that might attack you. Sometimes animals get rabies and they're out during the day and they're acting strange. So there's lots of things that are explainable in our own life that can put a hurting on us, especially a drunken driver if they cross the line and hit you on a two-way road, which can really ruin your day and put a hurting on you in a heartbeat. So there's lots of things to be afraid of, but I think being afraid of the paranormal or the supernatural is, I hate to say childish because I don't want to talk down to people, but I think we as human beings have to get over that and get more interested in understanding the paranormal. Just like why, for instance, I might be able to see a ghost or a spirit or a vampire because they're telepathically transmitting information directly into my brain. Now, the only other time I've heard about that, besides the supernatural or paranormal, is extraterrestrial individuals can do that. Everything that I've heard about and read about people that are abductees, they say that the person who's abducting them, or the creature, or whatever you want to call it, alien, uh, they never hear them speak. They just understand it in their brain. So it'd be interesting to understand how that works and how we possibly could do that. So sometimes we can do a telepathic. We just don't know how it works. And I think it's done more with close relatives. For instance, I've talked to a lot of veterans from the Vietnam War because I was growing up during that period. I was too young to ever be, serve in Vietnam, but uh, I've talked to relatives and service members, and they said that whenever they were in a combat situation and it was really a desperate situation, either their mother or their father knew about it without them having to tell them and without hearing it from the radio or the TV. So somehow the intense thoughts and feelings of like, well, I might right now and I won't get to see mom or dad anymore. Somehow that was telepathically sent to the mom and dad back home in America while their son was uh, fighting in Vietnam back during the 60s and the 70s. So it happens. And it people just don't care to think about it or don't take time to think about it. But it does happen. So maybe you would have to subconsciously be asleep for it to function properly. So, and I know that when it comes to the soldiers in Vietnam, a lot of times Vietnam is like 13 hours ahead of us in time. So a lot of the combat might have took place during the day, but was nighttime for the USA. So maybe the parents were asleep when they were able to pick up on this telepathically message sent. And I've actually talked to some, not many, parents who lost their child in combat in Vietnam, and they knew it. They knew it already before they ever got the telegram or the knock on the door. They knew it had happened. Now, I didn't at the time, this was back in the 70s and early 80s. So I don't know whether they were asleep when they knew it or they got the information telepathically while they were asleep and then woke up and consciously said, yep, I think something's gone very wrong here. And then when the knock to the door come, they were expecting it. So I've had parents who've told me that. So I think there are ways that we can communicate telepathically like a vampire, or even I feel that ghosts and spirits can telepathically communicate also. So I think we just need to learn more about it instead of being afraid of it. And I think that's where our society has gone wrong. And I'd like to see Hollywood branch out and start doing TV programs and movies about people like me who go into a graveyard and have respect for the people who are passed away and just want to communicate with them, just want to talk, just want to see how they feel. What was Apalachicola? That's a town in Florida. What was that place like when you lived here? Just shoot the breeze with them. And I think ghosts and spirits are like anyone else. If you go in as a friend and you just want to talk and you let them know, hey, I'm going to tape this for YouTube. Hope you don't mind. Be upfront with them. Hey, I'm going to do some promos and they're going to be on Facebook and Instagram. Just be upfront with them. And most of the time, the ghosts and spirits will communicate with me. So, did you have any questions for me?
Very excellent stuff right there again, my friend. I'm just sitting here listening, and actually, as we are starting to tie this up, I did want to tap on a few things and ask you a couple things. Earlier, you had mentioned some sort of mind speak connections with some of the Dogman and werewolf sightings that we potentially are dealing with here, or what people claim they are seeing. They have spoken about telepathic or mind speak, which is very interesting. And this is what I wanted to ask you now. How do you feel the Michigan Dogman, the Beast of Bray Road, the Rougarou, the Loup-garou, which is different? I mean, werewolves and the Dogman are separate, but overall, how do you feel about that topic? That's what I cover personally.
I know very little about it. I've been able to see videos about the Bray Road dog band. Some of the what was it, Loup Garou?
Yes.
I think I saw a video on that in either New Mexico. Uh, I think it's in Southwest America or Mexico, northern Mexico near the border. I really have not followed that cryptid. Those cryptids, I haven't had time. I'm usually so busy trying to submit a paranormal short session at least once a week onto YouTube, and also putting promos for the YouTube channel Paranormal Short Session on Instagram and Facebook. And it usually takes me about a couple hours a day to submit everything that I would like to submit. I'm not sure if it's because I have an older phone that's slowing down on me, or whether it's because the internet here out in the middle of no place is slowing down on me. But it takes time, and I'm just limited. I'm very limited. Just about everybody wants to be my friend, but I have a hard time going through and just browsing the stuff that people send me, videos, and people send me um, pictures and ask me if I think this is real. It might be a picture they got off the internet. And a lot of times it's just very hard to spend too much time on too many things. Otherwise, the day is gone. And I just not have not had enough time to be well versed on those cryptids.
Fair enough. Quality answer. I hear you on that, my friend. As I stated, I edit, record, find new hosts, talk to people, then I sleep till 2 or 3 in the afternoon because I've been up till 2, 3, 4 in the morning sometimes. Definitely takes a lot of tenacity to make sure that you are staying on top of things and getting out quality information. I do highly suggest it, or family members that can help you understand technology a little bit better, broaden your audience and who you're able to connect with, meaning going through things such as Discord, Reddit, all kinds of other options for you. So I highly suggest that. My next question for you is, when it comes to the issue of missing people in national forests and near cave systems, have you been introduced to these daunting statistics in the more broader part of the United States? every year, anywhere from 1,100 to 2,400 people go missing in the national forests, and only 5% are ever found. What do you think is happening with that?
Well, I think some of it is human trafficking. I think wealthy people overseas will pay good money for young males and females from the United States. So some of it is human trafficking. Some of it is probably extraterrestrials. As far as cave systems, a lot of people go missing. There's so it's not only near cave systems. A lot of people go missing, especially in Native American females. There's a large percentage of Native American females that go missing. So something's going on. A combination of extraterrestrial. It could be maybe related to Bigfoot. You know, they claim that Bigfoot apparently eats big game like deer, or just kind of just eats them raw. So Bigfoot could be a highly intelligent being that happens to like raw meat and eat raw meat, but they might have technology where they can, you know, like beam me up, Scotty, where they can be, if they know they're being censored by, say, thermal imager at night, they can just disappear and go someplace else, and just like a vampire dematerializes. So um, that's the only thing I could think of logically that could be happening. I know that a lot of places, like in the deserts where a lot of the Native American females grow up, and in the Alaska, there's not many people around. If you get lost or get hurt in Alaska, you measure uh, in some of the deserts in the western midwestern part of the USA. If you got lost, you might thirst. So some of it could be naturally caused. It's not like getting lost in Florida. If you get lost in Florida and you can't find your way, you're going to probably cross the road pretty soon, unless you wander into a swamp, and then you might get ate by alligators. So, things can happen. People can go missing, and it's not human trafficking or not foul play. But I think a lot of times something is going on that we just cannot explain, especially near caves and with the Native American females, and with in Alaska, because it's most people in Alaska are there because they're survivors. They're not going to go out someplace on their own and get lost without some type of backup. And if
Yes.
they do, they're taking a really big chance. So, but I that's about all I can say about that.
I like the answer. Again, straight up nightmare fuel and very bizarre stuff. As we are coming to home base here, do you have any new projects that you are going to be working on in the near future? Any more books?
Well, believe it or not, I've been working on a book since, or a future book or a potential book. I like to write a book about the 1880 Victorian, and that's the name that the owners gave it. It was actually built in 1893, but I like to write a book about that location. I've had some very interesting experiences that happened to me. There was a young lady that I could see that the owners could not see, but I didn't know that until after the fact. Um, but anyway, I wasn't sure whether the young lady was telepathically transmitting her audio and visual into my brain, like say a vampire could, or a ghost or spirit could. But if so, she was doing a very good job, and I was wide awake the whole time. I'd like to go back and see if that happens again before I write any more. Because if so, the book would largely be about that, because the other things that were pretty much happening were pretty routine and uneventful. So I just have to get time to go back and do that. I've since 2020, when I was there the first time, I've had a lot of problems with blood pressure, and I have chronic kidney disease. And sometimes the doctors just want to keep changing your blood pressure medicine because your blood pressure is either too low or too high. And with myself and chronic kidney disease, my blood pressure is all over the place on a daily basis. So there's not too much medicine that can really really do too much help for me. So anyway, that's kind of kept me from wanting to drive any place too far to do any type of paranormal research. But as of this past winter, my blood pressure's been pretty much steadily low, unless I get angry about something or upset about something, then it goes up. So I think I'm going to try to get permission from the owner. Hope and pray that the same owner still owns the 1880 Victorian in St. Augustine, because I've written permission from them already to do paranormal research and write a book about their three-story Victorian-style townhouse. And I'd like to do that. And I've also had requests to write a book about how I do paranormal. I was thinking about calling it Paranormal My Way. I wouldn't think too many people would be interested in it, but different ones have said that I get such good data, they would like to copy me and do what I do so they can get good data too. Kind of like a shortcut to you know, being popular with the ghosts and spirits. And so I don't know if the book will be commercially successful, but some people may like it. So I've thought about that, and I actually started working on it, but haven't put that much time into it because I've been so busy with podcasts. And believe it or not, you have to spend a lot of time trying to contact a podcast, because most of them don't make it easy for you to find them. You almost have to be recommended. Most of my contact information for my next podcast comes from the podcaster prior who shared it with me. But most podcasters don't use their real name. So when you go to search on Instagram or Facebook to see the name of the podcaster so you can contact them, and a lot of times the only way I can contact them is to leave a message on their actual show that they're showing off another paranormal person or another person in the UFOs. And some of the podcasters will get upset because you should be only giving comments about how great the show is and not say, hey, I want to be on your podcast next. So you spend a lot of time trying to find podcasts. And then I get the podcasts that don't want me to be on because they don't lose customers. They think that my book, my book, Vampires Are Alive, is too realistic and just too nonfiction for their audience. Their audience mainly wants horror, and only a person who presents the paranormal as being 100% fiction. And I can't do that because I don't believe in that. I think paranormal is, to me, it's at least 95% real and just very unexplainable, because we hide behind their fears and we don't get out there and try to, explain it. And most of the people that are out there commercially trying to explain it are just feeding into what Hollywood has already gave us, and that's a lot of fear. And I haven't found that. I think there are good and evil people, and there's going to be good and evil ghosts and spirits. Now, just because a ghost or spirit might treat you poorly doesn't necessarily mean they're demonic. But I think there's a potential for it. So it's out there just like anything else is out there. I just think that it's few and far between. I think 99% of your paranormal data that you run across is just going to be a neutral or a friendly ghost or spirit that doesn't mean you any harm. And I have a chance to talk to adults who say that their children are afraid to go to sleep because they see someone in the room who's looking over them. And a lot of times that's just your guardian angel looking over you. And, it's sad that we live in a country where we scare away or we motivate our guardian angels to go away because we want to think there's something evil or demonic. And most of the time, whatever's looking over you is not evil or demonic, it's your guardian angel. And when I have a chance to talk to young children who are afraid, whose parents are sitting there or standing there right with me, usually the parent later on says it changed their child 100%. They're no longer afraid to go to sleep at night. They're no longer afraid of the dark. And that's what I want to get across. I want to get across to people is you don't have to be afraid. Just learn the knowledge. Seek the knowledge and let the fear be gone.
Excellent stuff right there. I will put you in contact with some people that would be quite interested in speaking to you about things you deal with and things that have occurred for sure. After our recording tonight, when I get a little bit of free time, you might already be in bed because I am a creature of the night that stays up quite late. I will open up some chats on Facebook with you and some of my friends, and we will definitely get you hooked up a broad audience to speak to. Also, got to take care of your health. Health is by far the most important aspect. I do encourage you to keep on trucking and keep on plugging away. I wouldn't worry about the podcasters that haven't responded to you or people that get upset. Don't even deal with that. Just keep on reaching out to individuals. Yet, before we start to tie this up tonight, is there anything else you would like to touch base on before we let you go?
Well, I'd just like to remind everyone that my two books are available when it comes to ebook on Kindle. Both The Hayes House Goes to People 2 and Vampires Alive are available ebook on Kindle. Now, the only paperback book I have right now is Vampires Alive, and it's definitely available on Amazon. I also have a YouTube channel called Paranormal Short Sessions by Keith Evans, and it's free to subscribe. I'm on Facebook, and I'm also on Instagram, and that's about it.
Appreciate that right there. We will make sure to get up all your links. And I'm going to do my little outro here, but don't log out after because StreamYard has to upload your audio for a second. So even though when it sounds like we're saying goodbye.
Okay.
All right. Well, my creatures of the night, we do need to allow Mr. Evans to get back to things he does need to attend to. It would be very nice to hold him in the fox den all night, but that's not what friends do. And Mr. Evans has other monsters and paranormal entities he needs to track down. Yet, check out the good old description. It will have the links and ways for you to keep track of what Keith is up to. Please do go over, hit him a like, subscribe, share around his content. Also, if you're interested in speaking to him, as Mr. Evans had stated, he is always looking for people to sit down and collaborate with. So do contact him. Yet this will be the conclusion of the meeting of the Midnight Society. It is the early hours of the morning, and the sun is coming. Thanks for hanging out tonight, Keith.
Yeah, so let me know when I can, log out.
Ooh, you imagined you. All my creatures of the night, I do adore every single one of you. And thank you for hanging out tonight. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share the truth to the algorithm. I will catch you very soon.